The Magician of Eamberwyn. There once was a kingdom cradled in the golden blush of eternal autumn. Its name was Eamberwyn, and its trees never shed their leaves. They only deepened in hue from yellow to burnt sienna, to that rare shade of hazel that catches fire in the sun. Far from the courtyards and music and dancing lanterns lived the magician. He was not born with his powers, he forged them, year by year, through pain, clarity, and devotion. His gift was rare. With ink and will and whispers, he could shape reality. Whatever he believed in strongly enough, dreamed of deeply enough, the world would, in time, become. He was not born to love, not made for it. He was built of reason and silence, of stars turned inward. His craft was pure, bend the world, but never the heart. His magic obeyed thoughts, not longing. His was the work of skies, not souls. Until one morning, as he stood at the balcony of his tower, watching the light roll over the shimmering landscape, he saw her. The princess. She was walking among the amber-colored trees that surrounded the magician's home, deep in thought. One with nature. She looked up, saw him, smiled, and waved. He waved back. She had always lived in the kingdom, a distant yet warm presence. Everybody loved her. Everybody but him. He was incapable of such deep emotions. He had seen her smile before, heard her voice echo across the castle stones. But that day, it was as if he was seeing her for the very first time. Something shifted. Not outside. Within him. He stumbled, suddenly dazzled, short of breath. Confused. Scared. It wasn't how she looked. It wasn't what she wore. It was something that defied logic. Something he had no words for. Her eyes, that beautiful color, and the gentleness in her gaze. Her laugh, a sadness, deep inside, whose presence he could somehow sense, despite that bright smile she always wore. Her kindness, her strength, her vulnerability, her soul shining so bright. The magician felt everything all at once. It struck him with an overwhelming force that almost brought him to his knees. He raised his hands and placed them against his chest, where suddenly he could feel his heart beat, stronger than it ever had before. He locked himself away. Weeks passed. He waited for the feeling to disappear, but it wouldn't. His spells grew unstable. Storms raged, both within him and all around the kingdom. Birds flew backwards. He wrote her name into the wind and tried to erase it. It was no use. The more he tried to forget her, the more she was on his mind. His first thought when he woke up. The last fleeting image before drifting into a restless sleep. He knew it was only a matter of time before she'd feel the need to come and see him. That was how his magic worked. His thoughts became a reality. And he had no control over his thoughts anymore, nor over his power. And so the princess came to him, one day, inevitably. "You seem tired," she said, offering him a plum. He took it, trembled. "I don't sleep much." "You should," she said. "Everything in the universe needs to rest sometime, especially magicians." He couldn't tell her she was the reason he couldn't sleep anymore. And, weirdly, her presence seemed to bring him a sense of inner peace he thought he'd never experience again. She stayed for a while. He felt safe and happy in her glow. He realized he didn't want whatever he was feeling to disappear. He needed the princess around. In his life. He, who had never needed anyone else before. When she left, he felt empty, exhausted, and he finally allowed himself to acknowledge what he felt. To give it a name. The magician focused on his power again. With purpose, he began crafting a reality in which she would be his. Forever, he knew he could make her happy. His power knew no limits. Whatever she might need, he could give it to her. Make it real. Make that sadness he sensed in her go away. He cast a spell to see the future. And another one. And another one. He needed to be sure. In each and every vision the magic offered him, they were together. The princess visited again and again. Sometimes just to sit. Sometimes to talk about things that weren't important. Other times, about what truly mattered to her. What was missing in her life. Her hopes, her fears, her dreams. She laughed easily, and she made him laugh too. She made him feel alive. She would ask about his power, his magic. It seemed to fascinate her. Yet she never asked him to cast a spell. She seemed to simply enjoy being around him. Their chats. Slowly, impossibly, they grew close. He never told her, couldn't. He couldn't risk damaging their friendship. He basked in her presence, but sometimes it made him feel like her inner light might break through his own skin and reduce his soul to ashes. It felt like standing amidst all-consuming flames. Burning didn't matter, though, as long as he could look at her and see his whole future in her golden eyes. Even if something primal in him tried to warn him he ought to save himself while there was still time. Then one night, during a quiet thunderstorm, he saw it. Not with eyes, with magic. The prince. He arrived from a faraway kingdom, with soft boots and softer words. Tall, incredibly handsome. He spoke the language of adoration fluently. He made the princess smile. He made her eyes sparkle. And slowly, she leaned toward him. The magician watched them fall in love, hidden in the corners of time. He was going to perish in her fire, after all. He could sense it. The pain was unbearable. This wasn't the future magic had promised him. And yet it was happening, and there was nothing he could do. The realization hit him. He wasn't powerless. He still had the ability to shape reality. Whatever was unfolding, he could break it. He could speak one word and turn the prince into fog. He could craft an illusion, spin dreams so that the princess's heart would beat only for him. He had the absolute certainty they were meant for each other. He had the power. But he didn't use it. He watched her hold the prince's hand. The lightness in her step, her hopeful smile, the joy and adoration in her eyes. That hidden pain he had always sensed in her, he could feel it slowly fade away. The love she was feeling was healing her, freeing her. The magician watched, not with bitterness, not with jealousy, but with awe, with reverence. He returned to his tower, heart hollow and howling, but also wrapped in a warm feeling he didn't recognize. There was sorrow, there was pain, but there was also acceptance, and a different kind of love. The princess confided in him. "I am so happy," she whispered, with a soft, dreamy smile. She was so beautiful at that moment, the magician could barely breathe. She did look happy. She looked fulfilled. And it was all the magician had ever wanted. He would have done anything to be with her, to be the one to make her shine so bright, so much brighter than before. Anything but reshape this reality she wanted so much to be hers. He couldn't wouldn't destroy her dreams. He wouldn't. He smiled and wished her good luck. She sensed true care in his voice. It moved her. He kept smiling until she disappeared out of view. He couldn't let her see that she had broken his heart. He thought he would cry once she left, but the tears never came. The princess wasn't lonely anymore, and the kingdom sighed in relief. They all wanted her joy. So did the magician. But he still couldn't entirely let go of her. Still, he kept her in his thoughts, phrasing them very carefully, not wanting anything for himself anymore, just for her to be happy, safe, cherished, loved. He did not try to influence fate anymore. He did not whisper spells. He simply held the image of her happiness, like a fragile bird in his hands. He hoped the wind would not take it. One night, when he awoke suddenly, haunted by dreams of her, doubt crept in. Could he really give up on someone his heart so desperately craved? Was he being a coward, not fighting more for the woman he loved? Would the prince treat her right? He needed to know. And so, one last time, he allowed himself to rely on his magic to foresee what the future held for the royal couple. What he saw shook him to the core. A union that wouldn't last, built on illusion. The princess's world crumbling down. Heartbreak. Tears fell for the first time since the princess had shared her bliss with him. He wasn't crying for himself. He was crying for her. He didn't want her to hurt. He couldn't let that happen. If the prince truly wasn't meant for her, then he had every right to shape a reality in which he, the magician, would make her happy. He decided to use his power again. He focused. Slowly, easily, a vision of the princess appeared behind his closed eyelids, looking adoringly at her prince. All he had to do was insert himself into that vision and join them. Show her that he was the one who truly loved her.
You are not reshaping reality to suit your own, selfish needs. You are just trying to hold on to what is true for you, in a world that constantly tries to make you let go.
The voice of reason reminded him. But another voice from within spoke even louder. What if his attempt at bending the universe to his will turned out to be the very cause of the pain he wanted to shield the princess from? What if the prince broke her heart not because he didn't love her, but because the magician's power influenced any bad decision he would make? The magician hesitated, tried to convince himself that using his power was the right thing to do. But he couldn't bring himself to disrupt the picture his mind had created. All he could see was the princess's face, raised towards the prince. Joyful, hopeful. And all he could hear was her whispering softly, "I am so happy. He couldn't risk it. It wasn't cowardice. It was love. True love. He understood now. His power remained still. He chose, each day, not to use it. But in the hush between night and dawn, he sometimes dreamed of a door, one she might walk through, coming back to him not because he summoned her, but because something deeper guided her steps. He would wake with the ache still in his chest, and the spell still unspoken on his tongue. The magician retreated to silence, to stone, to stars. But sometimes, they say, in the darkest hours of the night, the valley on which his tower stands glows faintly, rhythmically, softly, as if a heart was still beating somewhere beneath it all, waiting, murmuring the princess's name. And, in her dreams, they say, the princess can hear it.